All right, what is up, everybody? Shell Scout 0013 here, coming in with a Yoda Masterclass series with Chris Velazquez, or better known as Kylar, in the Discord's server. And yeah, we wanted to kind of talk about Yoda and really go in depth with him. And this is the kind of like the first of a series that we're going to try, maybe with a few different characters, but at least we're starting with Yoda because he is the most complex. So just a few announcements. If you're interested, you can look at the timestamp down below if you don't care about the giveaway. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and talk about the ways to enter into that, and then I'll get into the rest of the video. So there's three different ways to enter and win. First off, all you have to do is be a subscriber and leave a comment down below. That'll enter you in to win an unopened box of Rebel Troopers. And another way to win is to be a member of the Discord. All you have to do is sign up, and which is free, and start chatting or leaving comments, which is also free. But what I'll do is, in order for you to win, I'll basically look at the who is chatting, and that will tally up, some extra points for you. And lastly, all you have to do is be a member of the Clan of Shadows Patreon. If you want more ways to win, then all you got to do is just sign up, and that gets you extra giveaway points. If you just want one extra point, then all you got to do is just be an unpaid subscriber, which is pretty cool. But it really helps the channel if you can at least do $1 or even more, because that'll help with more giveaways and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks, guys. And if you enjoy this, then hopefully what you can do is keep on watching. All right, and I'll get into it. What is up, everybody? Shell Scout 0013 here with Kylar.
Hello, hello.
And we're going to go over part two of the Yoda Masterclass, mostly talking about the objectives and how amazing Yoda is at objectives. So I'll go ahead and take it away. We'll start with recover the supplies.
All right. Yeah, so Yoda with Recover the Supplies is a beast. He has so many different things that he can do. So, because of guidance, his card ability, which allows him to tell another unit to do an action that is not an attack. So, move, standby, dodge, whatever he wants, or whatever you want them to do, right? Yoda will guidance them into doing it. So, what is that going to mean for his objectives? Well, things like sabotage the evaporators, he can tell them to tap the evaporator. Things like recover the supplies, he can tell them to pick up a box. These are all actions that he can command them to do. And so because of that, our objective deck is going to be filled with things that Yoda is going to be particularly good at. So starting with recover the supplies, we have the TTS set up over here with a typical box in the middle set up, and two boxes over in the corner, and some boxes over in the corners uh, for the opponent. Pretty standard here, nothing too crazy. Don't focus too much on are they in the best positions. We're going to be focusing on the center box one because this is where some of the tricks that I think a lot of people who have have not played against Yoda too much, or don't have a lot of Yoda players in their area, they may not have seen some of these tricks. And so I just want to show you all who are hopefully going to be starting to play more Yoda, different ways that you can surprise your opponents and grab the center box on the first turn and put yourself into a really commanding position. So what does that look like? What does that mean? So if you need to be very aggressive and grab the box and just like get as many moves as possible with that box, you're going to need to have someone who scouts too. Now, there's two ways to do that. If we're on advanced positions, then you can have Chewbacca do it, and he's a great target for it because I always run recon intel on my Chewbacca. It's basically an auto include every single time. Like, there's really no reason for you to not do it because it's going to give Chewbacca the extra little bit of movement, and that's going to help for things like this. Also, it's really great because if you did want to do Chewbacca's 2-pip with Yoda, the combo, it gives him it basically is giving Yoda that scout move as well because they're going to piggyback on each other. Yoda will piggyback on Chewbacca. So we're going to go through them one at a time, and we're going to start with kind of the most typical way that you would do it. So the very typical way, the easiest, just I'm not super concerned with like too much damage incoming, maybe after the deployments, because you choose your, by the way, and remember, you will choose your command card after all the deployments are done. So if my opponent has deployed the bulk of his army over here, in this in this area because maybe he wants to be over here by these boxes that he's positioned, and maybe he wants to grab those, and he wants to create a firing lane down this corridor. Great, cool. So he positioned his army over here. So maybe I don't feel super threatened by getting maybe big fire supports or just a ton of incoming damage. Then I might not play Yoda or the Chewbacca 2-pip. I might just play Yoda's 1-pip instead, which will allow Yoda to guidance twice on on the turn. It allows him to do the same action multiple times, breaking the normal rule where you can't use the same action twice unless it's move. So with Chewbacca, we're gonna have a scout to start. So we always just want to remember to do our little scout move. So get our speed 1. We're gonna do a full speed 1 over there, and then we're done with him. Okay, so he's now where he's supposed to be. Then we're gonna do our deploys. We're gonna get Yoda over here, nice and nice over here to the edge. He's just chilling, doing his thing, and you have played the Yoda 1-pip, and I have it here in my hand so that in case you want to put it on the screen, show people, it just says Yoda can do his actions twice, right? So, well, what do we want to do? We want to grab this box, is what we want to do, right? So if I'm not super worried about the clapback, I'm not super worried about grabbing the box in like one single move. This is just a very standard, and I can either do this with Chewbacca, I can do it with Boyle because he has Scout 1. I could do this with an ARC Trooper, they have Scout 2. I'm gonna show you the different layouts. We're starting here with Chewbacca. So Chewbacca is gonna go whenever I draw his token. I'm not super worried about it, right? This was the deployment where like my opponent can't get a whole bunch of dudes and move them up super aggressively and stand by with an entire army, right? This is like a maybe the my opponent is just going to be doing a pretty typical slow, maybe methodical, or maybe they deployed wrong. You never know, right? This is how I'm going to do it safely. We're going to do a full move with Chewbacca for his turn. Cool. We're going to then do a slight move, a little baby move, and we're going to base that box right there. Boom. Okay? And then Chewbacca's done. And then, because Yoda has his token, I'm going to go with him on the following turn, and I'm going to say, hey, oops. He's going to say, hey, Chewbacca, guidance, because he's at range 2, right? So we're going to say, hey, guidance, pick up that box. Chewbacca's going to be like, cool, I picked up the box. He's going to say, hey, guidance again. He's like, run away with that box, right? And so now you have the ability to just take that box with you is all the way back to your own deployment. Do the full move with Chewbacca, grab that box, and put it over here, right? So this is pretty straightforward. So you end the first turn, you've grabbed the center box, and you've moved it effectively a speed 1 away from your own deployment zone. Pretty darn good, right? Most people would be pretty happy with that. Well, we can do better, right? We could do better. So that's the easiest way to do it. I call that the no pressure way to do it. The other way that you would want to do this, now you could do it if you have a Scout 2. So what happens when we have Scout 2? So if we have Scout 2, I'm going to grab an ARC Trooper over here, and we're going to deploy them right there, right up against the line, and we're going to activate them so I can get that move token. And we're going to do the Scout 2, right? And now they've scouted. All right, so the important thing here is that now on the turn that if this is like, oh boy, my opponent, I need to get that box and I need to get it like super quick. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to, as soon as I can draw the token, I've Yoda 1-pipped, right? And as soon as I can draw that token, this is a little bit more pressure, right? Where I want to get more moves with that box. Maybe my opponent's army's kind of fast and I need to get them in range as quickly as possible. Yoda will be here on the corner. He'll be waiting and chilling. When I draw that token, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move with them. I'm going to do the full move. As you can see, they make it to the box, right? And we're going to do second action to pick up that box. And now, yes, this unit will get shot, right? But ARC Troopers with Impervious traditionally should live 1 round of shooting, right? So maybe even you have some bad luck and three guys die. We're a-okay with that, right? That's in a pretty spicy situation where that happens. But then we do we do Yoda's activation, and we say, "Hey, Arcs, you've already picked up that box. Uh, can you please drop that box off over here in my own army's deployment zone as far away from my opponent as possible?" So he's going to tell them to do a full move, and then he's going to tell them to do another full move, right? Because he can guidance them to do that twice. So now that box is all the way basing your commander in your own deployment zone on the very first turn of the game. So that's pretty crazy, right? And yes, you probably lost some models to do it, but now the game is your opponent has to grab their boxes. They have to send their whole army. I mean, look at this, right? You know, if it, like they have to send their whole army all the way across the board, and your job now at this point is to just turtle up behind some lines of sight with your people that are holding boxes, right? And of course, I put my boxes back here, so my Echo is gonna do a scout move claim, and then he's gonna do a move claim on turn 2, and then he's gonna run back here, and the Echo will have 2 boxes, and this guy will have a box. We'll have 2 of them sitting there, and the rest of my army is just gonna tie them up. And here's the best part: when your opponent is moving towards you, they're not shooting you, they're not aiming as much, they're using a lot of those actions, and so they're not getting a bunch of damage, and your whole army is just volleying into them round after round to thin them down. And the best part is that Yoda eventually will just start diving in and chopping people up. And that's going to be the goal, right? You just want to end the game with 3 boxes. You don't win. You win. You can win the game with 3 models on the board if each of those models is holding a box, right? So that's going to be the name of the game. Now let's talk about one more way that you can do the. This is this is what I would consider to be the ultra super safe, hardest to hard, like if you're really actually worried about like a decent amount of damage coming in, then and you don't have a scout 2 option for this, right? We're gonna do this. We're gonna be doing the 2 pip, right? So now we're gonna do the 2 pip turn. So 2 pip says, all right, Chewbacca, come over here and do a scout 1, buddy. So we're gonna activate him. We're gonna do a speed 1 and do a full move over there. Cool. All right, so he's done, and then we're gonna play the Yoda card, which will teleport Yoda into base contact with Chewbacca, and then we're going to. And by the way, they both get a token. So with this card, Yoda and Chewbacca will. So the very first activation of the game, you're gonna just have Chewbacca do 2 moves, right? So he's gonna move, and then he'll move again as the second action, right? And he's going to move, and he's gonna base the box here, like so, and you're gonna place Yoda also basing the box like so. And so now, if your opponent shoots Yoda, uh, he's gonna get guardianed up and all the saves and all that kind of stuff. And Yoda's probably gonna live. Surging red saves with Guardian 2 and some cover, right? It's unlikely that he dies in one shot. Um, and and by unlikely I mean like incredibly unlikely, right? And if they shot Yoda and he took some wounds, then Chewbacca can pick up the box, right? With uh with the guidance, if they shot Chewbacca, then you can pick up the box with Yoda. So Yoda hasn't gone, right? So now we're gonna go with Yoda. We're gonna do first action. We're gonna pick up the box, and then second action, uh, we're going to guidance, and we're gonna say, go ahead and move Chewbacca, and then we're done. And we're going to pick up Yoda and place Yoda, and then Yoda has the box, so we're going to pick up the box and we're going to place the box. So as you can see, we're now doing that just as the same as the first example. We have the box picked up, claimed, and moved speed 1 all the way, or speed 2 all the way towards our own deployment zone. And really, as you can see, because of the placing and everything kind of chaining out there, it puts the box very, very close. And so if they did on the next turn happen to have a bunch of damage and they kill Chewbacca, like, you're sad, the Wookiee died, but he did what he was supposed to, and he got Yoda with the box over here. And then really at that point, the rest of the game, you just you can Yoda 1 pip and give him speed 3, and then just move him literally way back here. He is not dead. There's no way he's gonna die, right? 2 speed 3 moves with that box. So those are the big ways for this deployment, and you can do oops, you can do that with just about any of these deployments. So as you can see with the cards, we have the uh, ability to do it on any 6 long edge. So we can do it here. We can do it here on the opposite side of the board, and then we can do it here on advanced positions, right? And advanced positions is great because it gives that Chewbacca speed 2 and it gives Boyle speed 2. So you have more options on who you can give that claim, the box claim to. So keep that in mind. What the other deployment that I run though is, and how do we turn these off? Yeah, there we go. We're gonna do this one. Um, and then this one's a little awkward. Uh, I I would ban this. I would ban this if I was blue. So maybe we just flip the board and I'll show you if I was on the other side, like if my opponent picked the other board edge, because I would actually play. Oh, it. Wait.
Yep. Now do it again. There you go.
All right. Cool. 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 All right. So what I would do is I would because it looks like you can fit underneath of here. Um, this is a maybe a little bit of a weird map. It doesn't actually matter. Um, but effectively, if you're gonna do it on the long edge, you have to have an arc do it. So Yoda would be over here or wherever, and then you would have your arc trooper. Which where did they go? Here. So I'll just grab the unit leader because it's okay. Does he fit in there?
Let me see. Put him down.
How
Yes.
do you slide him?
Hold down
That's
the
cool.
right. Hold down the left and then the right. And have your lift height all the way to the very, very, very bottom. So the top right, or the very, very top, and then it has the man lifting the dumbbell or the barbell.
Ah,
Click that, and then drag that line to the very bottom of that line, and then yeah,
cool.
perfect.
All right. All right. So we're gonna put him in there, and I'm just gonna show you that this also can be done on this one deployment, but you have to have speed 2, or scout 2, excuse me. Right. So we're gonna just do a full move here. Done, and we're gonna do a full. So then on there. Oh yeah, where's the box go? Put the box back.
I'll do the snap.
There we go.
There you go.
That's good enough. And so then on their turn, you would do Yoda's 1 pip, right? And you would guidance them, and you would say, hey, do a full move, and then you would tell them guidance again, right? Second one, and then so they move and they basically just base it, and then on their turn, uh, because they've now been moved into base contact off of 2 guidances, you can activate. They can claim, and then they can do a speed 2 move back towards your army, right? So same exact thing. It works on all of these deployments. You just have to resequence the order that you do them, right? So you have to do guidances first because of the range 2 restriction on the guidance, right? Um, and if people are worried about the ranges of that, remember you do get a full cohere. So after that second move, you'll have a guy like cohered way back here, which is well within range 2 of Yoda, so he can still target them. I mean, he can target the leader, but like even if I had to deploy Yoda kind of weird just to be safe, because of the cohered mini, I'm always going to be in range 2 of that unit after the first guidance. So not a problem. Um, and yeah, that concludes the how to recover the second center box with Yoda, with all the different kinds of ways that you can do it and grab it and get it into your own deployment zone and just basically startle your opponent going like, whoa, wait a second, he's got the box, and then your opponent's like, I gotta chase after this guy already, and really put them on the back foot. Um, and so now we're gonna talk about hostage. Oh, and before I move on, did you have anything you wanted to add or any question on that?
No, that I mean, that seems pretty self-explanatory and pretty quick. That was good.
Nice. All right, perfect. So now we're gonna do hostage, right? So I'm gonna give
Do you
I'm gonna
want this
give
to?
you a
Do you want the specific deployment?
um this is fine. We can leave it with we can actually no, let's go back to the more common one because I actually really prefer uh so how do we turn off the yeah, and let's put it back to like let's put it back to major because I think major is probably and unflip the board if you don't mind.
Sure.
All right. Cool. All right, so we're gonna get a little gamey, very technical here. So I give you these models,
Sorry,
and they just
I had the snapping on. My bad.
where did they go? Oh, dude, where did one just teleport into the ether? Yeah,
Where'd
he's
he go?
yeah. I think he's gone forever.
Oh well, that's okay. No wait, no that's something different. Oh well,
Uh
no that's he's under there.
oh no, sorry. I tried to do Control Z
Oh,
and it just
okay,
reloaded the whole
okay.
board.
Oh, you're fine, you're fine. So I'll just I think he's right underneath. Yeah, so boom, 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 right there. So we got all five.
Okay. All right. Love TTS. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and put this guy here in the center. All right. So he snapped, and
Oh, sorry.
as the
There we go.
all right. So as the blue player, you're gonna give me the models, and I'm gonna go and I am gonna do the first bit. So I'm going to do the move with them. Now, mind you, if they're holding a hostage, it's a speed 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so here's the trick. So we're gonna move the unit, and we're gonna do a full, right? And then I'm going to just move it back just a little bit, just a smidge. And as what you can see is that now when I'm doing my coherence with this unit, I'm going to make a little Venn diagram on the center, right? By but I'm gonna so I actually moved it just a little too much. Yeah, there we go. Cool. And we're doing just a and in real life this is a lot easier I think because you're basically just bumping it a millimeter. All right. So now and then you fill in these guys and they don't matter. Okay. All right. Cool. And then we're done. All right. So now it's your turn. So well you have to put your guy as close to the center as possible, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have to put him as close as possible, which is here, because this is the only area that I left a little piece of that center space exposed. So it forces you to have to put the base there. And people might be saying, well, what's the point? Well, the point is that I got to start my scout from the center of the board. You don't. You start your scout towards your because you're taking my unit and you're going to scout them. I'm saying scout. Speed 1, move them towards your army, right? Because you're trying to get them you want to move them as far away from my deployment zone as possible, right? Because that's my hostage. So when you do that, you're going to and we're gonna move these cohered models, and you can show the measurement. So when you do a full move with this guy,
Uh,
and
we'll
yeah,
just say
just
that way.
choose any direction. Sure. You're gonna do the full move. All right, cool. We're done. And you'll cohere, and that's fine, right? These guys are doesn't really matter, right? And they're gonna both be holding a hostage. That's fine. Okay. Now let's go ahead and let's do a measurement real quick. So I'm gonna move this cohered model
So we
and
have.
measure from center to me. So I
Let's
have
see.
moved
Let me.
your unit about 3.3 away from 3.2 away from the middle of the board. Now, because I did the trick, my guys are going to be 2.7. So about a half an inch. About a half an inch saved in this example. And if you had moved maybe closer towards that building, it would have been even less, right? It would have been closer
Yeah.
to like 2.4 or so. So I've just basically cheated you a half an inch.
Yeah.
And in a game of ranges and range bands, a half an inch matters. And so I just wanted to bring that out to people's attention that is a trick that you can do with the cohered mini and forcing your opponent to kind of lose almost a whole base of movement. And I think we did this before, and like if we do it, measure it perfectly, you almost lose the entire base. Like you can actually, because if you do it just a millimeter off, you really do lose the almost the entire base. 98% of that base width of movement is lost for your opponent, and they can't get that back. And because I can choose the direction that I move my guy, basically the cohered mini, I can force him to put the guy on this side. Like if I wanted it to be more down here, I could force it to be like over here. If I think that he's going to run, that way, I could, just by cohering and putting the Venn diagram there, the Venn diagram of bases, that is, I can pretty much expose the center point on any part to force you to put your mini there, which is pretty cool. And then the next thing that I want to talk about, so after you've done that move, etc., when it goes time to do the moves in return, right? So I've cheated him and I've made him put my unit about a half an inch closer to my army than his is to his army, and all I gave up was a millimeter. When it's time to move my own guys, I can basically just do a full move one with that unit, and if he wants to move his model, I can just do the full move, right, of my own model, and I can use the coherence to basically block off all of the areas where he would want to move, and I can make it so that when it's time to go for him, he only is gonna get, and I can be kind of a little bit more specific here. Yeah, I can pretty much make it so that he's going to move his guy. The only areas where he's going to be making progress towards his own deployment zone, like if he's running over here trying to get with his army, he has to go into that one spot. So again, I can do a lot of manipulation with coherence, and this would be off of this unit doing a move and a standby. And the reason for the standby is so that after he does his first move, I can then trigger my standby, which would then be like flipped to me, right? So he moved, I do my standby, and then I'll go ahead and I'll take my second speed one, right? Because now I've successfully blocked him, and I'll just move all my guys as close as I can to my deployment zone. So just kind of shows you one of those little like extra gamey tricks. So he'll get his second move, um, and if we did this right, you should depending on angles and things. I've at least forced him in certain directions. But how do we do the
Hold down
the
tab.
measurement? Hold down tab. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So 4.7 for me,
Yes, I
and it should
see.
be it should be like 4 inches for you.
Yeah,
It should have
4.7,
maintained that
4.6.
that half inch
Yeah,
advantage. Yeah.
like
So the half inch
3 point.
advantage gets maintained. So as you can see, after the two moves, that half inch basically is maintained.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
3.6.
Pretty cool. So now
4.6.
that's a half an inch less that my army has to move in order to get you into a range 2 band or a range 3 band or whatever that range band might be that I need to get my shots off, right? It might mean the difference between a range 3 fire support, right? So that half inch is really important. And now that we've covered that, the other thing that I wanted to bring up is, well, how does Yoda play into all this? Well, you Yoda's pretty crazy because on that first turn, if I play Yoda's one pip, I could have Mr. Yoda, which where did he go? Oh no, we lost him.
Where'd it go?
Exactly.
Um.
Oh, he's over here.
Oh, yeah,
He's over
that's right.
here. He's so tiny. He's in the grass. Yeah. He on the very first turn. That this is what my opponent would have done. So now we're just showing that is a normal hostage game, right? Like Yoda hasn't been involved. Now, if I did Yoda's one pip on the very first turn of the game, I could guidance this unit and I can do two more speed ones with them, right? And so what I really want to show now is that we showed that one measurement. So how far away was he from the middle?
Yours was
My guy,
4.6. 4,
4.6. All right. So then
yeah.
we're gonna do two. So we're gonna do two more of these, and we're just gonna do two full moves. So 4.6. Now, how far away are we?
Well, you're definitely in your deployment zone, and I think that's like 12.4, 12.5.
All right. So as you can see, I'm sitting pretty on the very first turn of the game with the hostage token. Presumably whatever hostage, whatever we use as a hostage token, right? That hostage token is wholly within the deployment zone already. Um, pretty sweet deal. Um, most armies are not going to be able to do a lot about that. Your opponent is now basically in a situation where they just need to respond, and the only response that they can have is coming at you. And again, it puts you into a fantastic position where you're going to be able to just volley all the damage into them, and they're having to still spend all their movement to move into you. So pretty great position to be. It definitely makes Yoda have an incredibly good game plan into hostage, and always ensuring that you're going to get your hostage into your own deployment zone very early. And then of course what we're going to do is we're going to then play our Yoda 3 pip card on the following turn. You're going to get an order for your whole army. You're going to get all sorts of tokens, and then we're going to return that very important 1 pip back to our hand. So the Yoda cards that we talked about in the previous video are going to cycle, and so you're going to be able to do uh, 3-2-1 3-2-1 in a traditional game, or as you can see, you can also go 1-3-2 1-3-2, because any of those cycles will continue to have that loop, right? So wherever you start, you're just doing the next card in the sequence, and you're going to always get that last one back to your hand. And I'll show the 2 pip just for reference. So you got the 3 pip, the 2 pip, and the 1 pip, right? So the 3 will return the 1 returns the 2 returns the 3. So they cycle perfectly.
Nice.
And that is how you quickly cheat a hostage into your own deployment zone on the very first turn.
Nice. And so
And
do
so
you just not
next,
so say that maybe they had like I guess Padme or someone else and they're just bringing theirs. Well, I guess you're 800 points, so they're going to have to try to do something to start dwindling down your army or else you wind up winning the tie. So you can just kind of like force barrier, have all your tokens and just try to
yeah, because Yoda's so defensive, and with guidance, and if with Padme generating a bunch of extra dodges, the 3 pip generating dodges, you have force barrier every turn. You're going to be very defensive, and you're going to have a lot of defenses. And so really at that point, your whole goal is to just keep as many points as possible, right? And your opponent is never going to be in a position where they can catch somebody outright. If they don't kill a unit 100-0, because of guidance, whatever target they shoot, if it gets low on HP, you can always just go with Yoda and guidance that unit into safety outside of their attack range bands or just behind cover, and they'll never be able to finish off units. They have to 100-0 your units in a shot in order to actually accumulate and score points versus you. And that is a very unique thing that the Yoda list, because of guidance, is going to offer you. And that's why Hostage is one of those ones that nobody ever wants to play against Yoda on Hostage, because you can't ever finish things off, right? I mean, we can all think about the number of times where even if you roll poorly, you're probably not losing the whole unit in one go, unless it's off of like some really massive fire support. But again, your job here is just to survive. So they're having to use all of theirs to move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, and you get to do aim, shoot, aim, shoot, aim, shoot. So you're going to be doing more damage to them, and as soon as they've lost points, now your opponent is in that, oh no, now I'm on a point deficit. I can't just win. Now I really have to push in, and then so it winds up doing this big snowball thing. And so that's a pretty big deal. So whether you're using Yoda Padme or Yoda Chewbacca, these strategies still hold true and still work really well. And oftentimes, what I wind up doing is, especially if I'm using Yoda and Chewbacca, there's a good likelihood that I can get Yoda into their lines as they move up. I just stay behind some like line of sight or something, behind a building, and as soon as they come at me, I can just burst of speed on a 2 pip turn with Relentless and just delete some activations, and then burst of speed gives me the immobilized token, and then play the Chewbacca 2-pip to basically teleport Yoda with the immobilized. Doesn't matter because it's a pick up in place. You pick up the Yoda and you teleport him, and now he's being carted around by Chewbacca, and he's completely fine. So you can go aggressive, and and what's even crazier is there have been plenty of games where I've used I've used like the 1-pip to jump over a wall and chop up a unit, and then on the following turn had Chewbacca sitting nice and safe on the other side of a wall, and these guys just chopped up each other, and then I play the 2-pip, and then I just teleport Yoda behind the wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like some really cool things like that because of the place, right? As long as it's within range one. So Yoda just had to be like boom, and then just like okay, teleport him range one behind, and then now he's basing Chewbacca, and then he's perfectly safe. So there's all sorts of really cool things that you can do with the command cards and the ordering of them that really, really, really set your opponent into some really awkward situations. So again, if your opponent's pushing into you, you're gonna be winning those trades 9 times out of 10 because that's gonna give you the advantage to just fire support, aim shoot, aim shoot, aim shoot to your heart's content. It's a good
Nice.
place to be. Yeah. And so I think that lets us move into the next one. So we could talk about sabotage evaporators. So this one's a little bit more uh, vague, I guess, of a topic because where your opponents put the evaporators is going to dictate a lot of what you're going to be doing. If your opponent puts the evaporators in the middle of nowhere, then the odds are you're going to be in a position where you're just not going to be able to ever tap their evaporators, and that's why I think a lot of people don't like VAPs is because it winds up coming down to points. But you're playing an 800 point list, and we already talked about like the defensiveness of it, right? And how hard it is for your opponent to score. So in this situation, I would probably take Echo, and I would just have my Echo do his scout over here. So he'll do his scout 2, which I know is just shy of range 1, so I'm going to do that, and then I'll cohere this guy behind cover. And then on his first activation, he'll just move behind this cover, and if I place my tokens correctly, he's completely blocked line of sight, and he can just on his first turn he'll just move and tap the evaporator, and then he'll tap it on the next turn, and then he'll go ahead and move. Well, probably only move about that far, but he'll go ahead and start moving back towards my army, right? So this evaporator will be fully tapped. And then we'll have done something very similar here with probably like Chewbacca. Chewbacca scouted over to here. He'll just climb up here and then climb and tap and then move to be with everybody else. And the cool thing with and that does bring me up a thing that I did want to mention. Uh, Elevation, Chewbacca with his scale and stuff, kind of can do some cool things, right? Yoda could be back here chilling with the army. Chewbacca can be up here. And if I play that 2-pip, I can actually teleport him onto a higher elevation as well. So because the range band is only checked horizontally, so you can change elevation with that teleportation with the 2-pip. So
Nice.
there's a lot of ways that you can get your taps off, and then at this point you just have your whole army balled up. You're on top of this big terrain. You're very hard to charge. You're very hard to like pick off, and then your units who get injured, you just have them send back down and just go hide behind this wall, and then they'll never get killed, right? And so Yoda can just guidance all those units into safety over and over and over again. The other thing that your opponent can do, and this is going to happen in a lot of games, is that I might put my evaporators over here like this. So I'm going to put one here, and then I'm going to do 12 inches away, which should be about right here, I think. Yeah, thanks. Sure.
Yeah.
That's about 12, right?
Let's see.
It,
Almost.
okay, just a smidge more. All right, so cool.
Yeah.
Still gets the point.
Yeah.
So just wanted to show people. So we're still going to do the same strategy. We're going to do that scout 2, which is just shy of a range 1, so he's going to move, right? So we're going to have Echo. He's in the middle of nowhere, completely safe, so that he did his scout. He's going to then tap the evaporator, but he's going to move so that he's exactly a straight line between the two vaps. So he's going to move and tap the evaporator. And then on his next turn, he's going to tap the evaporator, and then he's going to do a speed 2 move, right? Which puts him literally halfway. It will always be just under 6 inches of a move,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, but because I had the base, then I should be able to do another move here, and then a move to touch. So 2 moves, boom, boom, and he's completely hidden. So by the second turn, I've already tapped this twice, and then by the third turn, I'm basing this, and then I can just tap it, and then on the fifth turn, I can tap it again. And I have now tapped all my Evaporators, and all I've sacrificed is 66 points, and it's all in the middle of nowhere. My opponent will never get over here. He'll never be able to do that. And like I said, I've just sacrificed 66 points to do that. It's super consistent. It's super easy to do. And then that allows me to ball up the rest of my army with all the high health units and basically do that trade war where I'm forcing my opponent to say, like, hey, I don't have any kill points. I got to make a play. If my opponent is playing an incredibly fast and aggressive army with like transports and some fun things, then I will obviously go with the other deployment that I kind of showed you, where I can like put these things exactly like speed 2 from each other, or range 2 from each other, however wherever that would be, probably like here and here. And I would definitely be trying to tap these as quickly as possible and keeping my army close together, right? Where I don't give them the ability to get in. So if my opponent put all of his guys there, I'm going to lay into them, and they're going to barrage, and I'm just going to just eat up so many of their units. And I'm never really worried about my opponent coming into my lines and tapping my evaporators because Yoda can guidance to give my guys extra taps. So keep that in mind, right? So my opponent can never really out tap me, right? It's just not possible. They're going to lose too many units, and I'll always have more guys tapping evaporators. So that just kind of shows how that works. If my opponent balled up and he's trying to play super defensive as well, I might put my evaporators over there in the corner just the same. Send Echo over there. He's going to deal with that. My opponent has balled up his entire forces over here, and all I have to do at that point is just pick off that one unit. And what I might do is I might have my units start to go over this direction, like over the wall, is if I can do it safely. And if I can get like Yoda and Chewbacca over there, I can tap their evaporator at the end of the game off of a double move of Chewbacca, and then a guidance tap, and then just win because they have if they don't have anybody over there to re-tap the evaporator, then they, they will be the number of times where my opponent hasn't realized that they are three, like the Chewbacca is like range 3 away, right? Like 3 moves away. But because I can guidance to do move, and then I can just do a move and tap, the number of times my opponent has just been caught off guard by the fact that it didn't look like I'm even close to the evaporator. Because remember, the speed 2 tool is just shy of a range 1. So you're effectively moving almost range 3 away, right? So we have these range bands, still turned on, right? So if we had evaporator, let's say here, I know this isn't exactly right, but like if we had evaporator here, right? If my Chewbacca if my Chewbacca ended a turn on the like right here, he can be guidanced and tap that evaporator at the end of the game, right? Like that's so far away looking, like from here to here. But my opponent might just be like, oh, it's totally fine. It's last turn of the game, and my Chewbacca just goes like, nope, I'm gonna double move to here, and off of guidance, and then he's gonna move and then tap the evaporator. And if my opponent doesn't have a guy inside of range 1 from that evaporator, he can't move and tap it, right? So that's a pretty crazy thing to think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
That they basically need to leave someone babysitting within range 1 of their own evaporators the entire game. And of course, I wouldn't send Chewbacca on that death mission unless I knew I was going to score it. So don't don't give up your points if you can help it. But that's a pretty crazy way to surprise an opponent as well. So definitely wanted to talk about sabotage the Vaps. And last, and certainly not least, because I think the most common thing that you're going to play with this, if you're playing Yoda, is you're going to play a lot of key positions, because you're going to play a lot of Vaps, you're going to play a lot of key positions. Get used to it, because a lot of people are going to see hostage and recover, and they're just going to ban them. They're just going to ban them. They're not going if they know anything about Yoda, they're going to ban them, and rightfully so. Your opponent should never let you have those if they can help it, because it's just so hard to beat a Yoda list on those objectives. So you're gonna play a lot more Sabotage the Vaps and a lot more key positions. So it's important to note that Yoda effectively counts for 3 scoring models at the end of the game. If Yoda is in a good position, okay? If Yoda is in a good position and you had 3 models, I don't know which ones to use per
There you go.
se.
We'll just say
All right, so we're gonna have a clone commander. We're gonna have some. What is this guy? Uh, is this Boyle?
yeah.
Is this my guy? Yeah, it's my guy.
Nope, that's
Okay.
mine. That's mine. I have Boyle too.
Oh, it's yours. Ah, all right. You have Boyle too. You got Boyle and some guys. Cool. And then we have like this pack of guys. And of course this is not necessarily a great example because like these are all full health. But if
I'll
you
take out two.
if we were in a situation uh where your guys and my guys were fighting over this point, and we're not going to get too picky with the amount of moves because obviously the number of moves are going to be different. Um, but what I just want to show people and illustrate without, we're not going to get into the whole dice rolling and all that kind of thing. We're just going to talk about sort of the numbers of it all. Um, Yoda is going to be able to play his 1-pip on this turn. He is going to have speed 3, and he will charge a unit that he knows he can finish off, right? He's
Yep,
going
Pierce
to
2.
kill that unit, right? Yeah, so Pierce 2. All right, they're dead, right? And then he's going to go into the next unit
That's a
with
single.
another charge. If it's a single guy, he's going to be able to kill that, and he's going to be able to force push off the last unit, right? If you can't kill 2 with the lightsaber because maybe they were full. Is this
Yeah, that's a whole squad.
let's say okay, let's say there was a 5th guy there though, right? And he couldn't do that. In that same world, so like in the same world where I charged 1 unit and I killed them, right? I can simply end my base touching the point, but obviously, leave a space. I could force push this guy off the point and basing Yoda so that he's now safe in an engagement, but this guy is locked off the point. And then I can recover, and because I can use force actions twice because of his 1-pip, I could then force push off a second time, and I could force push off this unit. So effectively, even if he can't kill 2 units with his 2 attacks off of Ataru Mastery, he's still able to count for 3 models, right? So you had three units on the point scoring, and Yoda has effectively neutralized it. If they were in the worst possible world, where the 3 units were all completely full health, and there's no way that his lightsaber was going to take one out, at the very least, 1 unit can tie a board that 3 units had previously been scoring. So if you had 3 full squads of B1s onto a point, right, Yoda could touch the point, right, which now it's 3-1, and then do force push, recover, force push, and now it's 1-1. So again, even if you can't kill them, Yoda can do some incredible work off of his 1-pip card to secure this center objective on the key positions and become way, way more valuable than his worth. And again, the other thing is your Yoda will be very safe because he'll always do one of those force pushes to base one of those units into him, right? Which starts that engagement so that he's nice and protected. And again, you would babysit this as your last activation. So you would just dive Yoda in after these units have activated and are sitting onto the point, right? So just to keep that in mind. So again, we're not going to go through the whole scenario of all the different models and all the different shots because the dice can obviously be wild, but I'm just showing you that without rolling a single die, you can take 3 models or 3 units and just make Yoda count for 3, right? Going from a 3-0 scoring to a 1-1 scoring, which is incredible. And there's no other unit in the game that can do that because no other units can use force push twice on a turn. Only Yoda can because of his 1-pip.
It's so nice.
So
That's so tough to
that
beat.
right there really, yeah, it is very tough to beat. And that right there will conclude the objective conversation. So hopefully people took some notes, learned some things, got some tricks under their belt for how you can position your hostages better, how you can grab the center box and get it as close to possible, whether you're doing it safely or more aggressively, and different tricks on how you might want to position your your evaporators for sabotage, and of course how you can end a game on turn 6 with key positions and make Yoda overscore his value, like really make him worth that 200 point investment for list building, because he's worth 3 units already right there on the end of the game.
Yeah, and it just seems like
So
Chewie is probably one of the best, if not the best, to pair him up with, honestly.
Chewbacca and Padme, just like we talked about in our last video, either the insane token generations that you get with Padme, being able to make in just an incredible amount of tokens on that 3-pip turn, with being able to guidance Padme to quick think a second time. So Padme's gets her reliable one. She gets an aim and a dodge for quick think, and then she can take an aim, which is a 4th token, and then you can guidance her, and then that generates another aim and a dodge. So Padme is generating 6 green tokens for you uh, on every turn with a guidance, and so your clones obviously are going to just drink up those tokens like crazy and be able to create some really powerful fire supports very, very reliably. Uh, and then, of course, on the turns where you're playing Yoda's 3-pip, he's generating 2 of each token as well. So if you're running Force Guidance on him, you can generate, which I don't have in this list. I have Burst of Speed just because I'm I like playing Burst of Speed for the 2-pip shenanigans and doing some fun things with that. But very typical Force Push, Force Barrier, and Force Guidance. You can generate an extra 2 surges, which clones love surges. I mean, who wouldn't want to have red surging saves for the entire game, right?
Right. Man. Well, yeah, that was amazing to hear. And I think that hopefully people are taking away a lot from this because it just seems like Yoda is hopefully going to become more popular after this, but just super hard to defeat. Maybe we'll have to come up with a video for counters to Yoda, possibly, if that's even a thing. Maybe we can think of. If not, I mean, whew, he's tough.
Yeah. The I'll say this much: there's really nothing that I've ever played against where I felt like I was just hopeless, right? And I think that that's a good place to be. There might have been harder matchups, for sure, but there's nothing where I was just like, oh man, oh no, I got paired against my counter, you know. And I think that that's just a very nice place to be when you're building a list. You just don't feel like you're being ever hard countered. You might not have the easiest time. You might have to be thinking outside of the box with your guidances, but you definitely feel like when you walk, especially after you walk away from the game, win or lose, you go, oh man, on turn 3, if I would have guidance this, or if I would have done that, you'll just your mind will start to explore all those different paths that you could have done with guidancing a move so that you could get a range 3 fire support off of a unit, or whether you're doing a guidance to pick up a box, and get your guy behind cover so then he wouldn't be able to get shot on the following turn, and you'll start to see like Neo, being able to finally see the Matrix code. Like it'll just start to unfold in front of you, where you can see all the different possibilities in the plays, and that's what's so exciting about Yoda. But what I will warn players is that you do need to be the type of person who likes to go and reflect back at your games, because there is something that you can do better every game. For sure. I don't think I've ever played a perfect game with Yoda. I don't think, never once. So just always be ready to do that reflection and try to come up with a new play, and you will find yourself getting incredibly good with him in as long as you can do that self-reflection. I think that that's the biggest tip that I can let people walk away with, is play those games, get those reps in, and then kind of rewind the game back and say, oh yeah, this is what I should try next time.
Yeah. Now, is there a part 3?
Yeah. We can. We're gonna talk about the next video is we're gonna talk about uh, uh, Yoda combat tricks with like his mobility and how to be more mobile with him and how to juggle people around and do some fun things with giving relentless and on his relentless card what he can do with other units on that and how you can be incredibly aggressive and chop up and basically be that Yoda from the prequels where he's just charging those clones and throwing his lightsaber and jumping off of their chest, like yeah, you can be a little speed demon and chop up your opponent's army. So that's going to be the next thing we're going to cover.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for joining up and talking about this. Yeah, this was definitely eye opening for me and hopefully for everybody else. But all right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Leave a like and subscribe for sure. Definitely join the Discord to know to let Kylar know how awesome he is and how much he knows about Yoda. And yeah, that's about it, guys. So hopefully you'll have a great weekend, and we will see you in the next video.